Cameras are a lot like hot dogs. Without the bun, they're just not as much fun. Today we're reviewing the SmallRig Cage for the Canon R5. Okay, so now that you lived through probably the worst intro I've ever done, let's talk about cages and why I think cages and everyone that has a camera, especially a Canon R5, should go ahead and invest the money in a cage. Cages are one of those things that I put up there right with lenses and batteries for your camera. I just think they're an absolutely essential component that every single person using these cameras should have because they literally unlock what you can do with the camera. These cameras are great, but they're really just very, very single-minded really for photography. Now, if you are a photographer and that is all you do and you will never really need the video components, you might not need a cage, but even then it might still help. However, most of us today are going to be required to be more and more hybrid type shooters. And that's where a cage is absolutely critical because it allows you to unlock what your camera is and what it can do. And I recently got this cage from SmallRig. This is the Canon R5 cage from SmallRig. The best I could tell, it just says SmallRig Canon R5 cage. There's no fancy name that I could see. But what I want to do is kind of go over my review of this cage and my past experience with SmallRig and where I think this could work for you, not work for you, as well as some peripherals on this that I think might even take it a step further and really help unlock what you're doing. The R5 is so new that I actually had trouble finding a lot of cages for it. So like I said, I think a cage is essential, so I went in and got it. The price on this thing is fantastic. It's $59, and it's really hard to beat it when you get down to it. So what I want to do is I want to start off with the parts of this that I think are really great and just show you why I think this is such a great rig. All right, so the first thing is it just fits on your camera really, really nicely. I mean, this thing was definitely, you can tell, tailored and made for it. Normally you wouldn't be going and putting this on with a lens on there, but hey, I'm just shooting this thing to shoot it. And the other thing that I think is great is not only does it fit on there securely, but I want you to look at this. You have two screws under here. So look, there's 2 points of contact for your Canon R5. There's actually a hole under here in the Canon R5 that this screw goes into, so it's really, really great. And if you look here, the other thing about it that's great is there's a tool, and if you look at this tool, it's held in there by a magnet. So that magnet pops right out, and you can go ahead and screw this thing right together. It's really, really great. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this tool, pop it out, there you go, and I'm just gonna screw it in here, and what you're gonna see, the camera's lined up really, really well. I screw it in. Do a little good, nice turn on it. One last little pop. Make sure it's good. And that thing is made for the camera. It is attached to the camera. It is not going over, it's good. And then when I'm all said and done, I can take my little tool, I can put it on right back there, and I'm good to go. So the camera's really, really good. Now, the other good thing that I think is fantastic is it just feels good in your hand. A lot of cages you'll get, they kind of get in the way, but I'll be honest, this for me just doesn't get in my way. I can sit there and shoot with this thing all day long. It feels comfortable in my hands. It doesn't really go. The ergonomics are very good. I can adjust. I put multiple lenses on this. It doesn't get in my way. So what that means is this cage can just live on my camera. It doesn't bother me. It does add a little bit of weight to the body of your camera, but in my opinion, that is a good thing because I come from an SLR world and hey man, I like a little weight. I think a little weight is a good thing. So the fit, the ergonomics are really, really nice and they go really, really good. Another thing that I think is really, really cool is there are 2 points of contact under here for your tripod plate. There's actually a 1/4 inch screw and a 3/8 inch hole right here as well, which means if you have a tripod plate, you can put that in there. Now, why is this good? Well, if any of you ever done anything with any kind of cinema stuff for your camera rigs, it starts to get heavy and clunky and out of date. And one screw tends to just kind of end up rotating like this. The 2 points of contact give you much better security. You know your rig's safe. It's going to be locked on. You get better tripod shots. So in my opinion, having 2 points of contact is just great. And this is spaced wide enough. You can easily put a quarter and a 3/8. You're good to go. Rock and roll. Really, really great point. The other thing that I think is good is just that, you know, this doesn't get in your way. It allows you access. You can access every point of your camera. You're not denied or got on there. So I think that's a really, really great thing. And then really, you know, you can kind of look at this and see there are just tons of holes and mounting options. There is a 3/8 screw as well as multiple 1/4 inches on every side of this camera. So it's just really, really practical. I can attach magic arms to this. I can attach rails to this. I can do whatever I want and do it. And that brings us to my last favorite part of this cage, which is this. This top bar here, while it's got some great mounting options, is actually NATO rail compliant, which what that means is I have this NATO rail handle from SmallRig as well, and I can use that and quickly attach it on there. And that kind of brings me to this right here, which is another attachment that if you're gonna get the camera, I personally think, why wouldn't you get it? It's the NATO rail is great. It's not too expensive. It's actually almost as expensive as a cage itself, but it has a ton of versatility. And look at this, because it's got a NATO rail, I can literally just take this, slip it on, it slips right on that fast. I can just finger tighten it, and that puppy is secure. It is not going anywhere. It's in perfect situation. So the NATO rail is something that you really, really want. And that kind of leads me to this handle. I love the handle. It slips on very, very quickly. It's very, very good. It's super secure. Look at that. I have no problem holding this. It's not going to fall. I don't have to ever worry about it. Another thing that I really love here is there's actually a cold shoe lock here in the top, which means I could put a small ball head or something in there or anything that's a cold shoe attachment, and there's actually a lock here that's released right here. It's not going to fall off. If for some reason it gets screwed off, I'm not going to destroy that piece of equipment. Usually that's monitors or something like that if you have on there, but it's just a safety feature that I think is really great. If you are using a monitor with a ball head or any other thing on there that you need a cold shoe mount, this is a given because this right here will save stuff from breaking. So another aspect I really like about having this handle here is I have a hole here for a 15mm rod, and I find this really helpful because what I'll do when I'm doing handheld work, especially with these smaller cameras, I'll actually take a rod like this. I can lock it in there, and look at this. I have a great handheld unit ready to go, and I can sit there. I can do handheld work like this. I can go, boom, boom. I can walk, go, run, gun, do my thing, float, do my thing. It's super easy, and the great thing is I've got a handheld rig right here, and it comes apart literally this easy. I basically loosen up the knot, take it out, and that's it right there. I have a really easy rig. It's good to go. And honestly, even when I'm doing photography, guys, I'll use this on there because if I have bigger lenses and stuff, it's just a really handy carry. And honestly, when I'm shooting photography, this doesn't get in my way at all. The only time I do have to take this out if I'm using, you know, flashes that have to trigger remotely, I will have to take this off to have my trigger on there. But that's really the only time I can take it off. And the good thing is it comes in so fast and easy. You can keep this in your bag all the time, pop it in and out. Yeah, and one last note about this HDMI protector, which is really the HDMI protector is my least favorite part, accessory that I did get. It does work. I think it's better than the one that comes with the Canon. In the Canon case, you do get an HDMI protector, which is absolutely critical for these tiny little HDMI ports that they decided to put on the Canon R5, unfortunately. But in the Canon R5 box HDMI protector, you can't flip the screen out all the way. It kind of has an angle like this. On this, you can flip it forward all the way forward, so you can't get that. So I think that's really important. It's good to have. But the problems with it is it doesn't quite, if you have a bigger HDMI plug at the end, you may have some trouble fitting in there. But really my biggest problem with is that I just can't natively come in here and flip open this to get to my mic port. So if you need a mic, you either have to come in here before you apply this and get it on and off, which I kind of find kind of cumbersome. So if you're thinking about getting the HDMI locks, it's kind of a hit and take. It does protect your HDMI cables, I think probably a little bit better than what comes in the Canon R5 case. But if you need sound, if you're always plugging mics in there, I would probably seriously consider. You can pop it on fairly easy with a hex screw, but it's just not super easy to get it off. So that is one thing to consider if you're thinking about the HDMI accessory to this cage. So that is my review of the SmallRig Cage for the Canon R5. I hope this was helpful. Guys, I'm not being sponsored in any way, shape, or form for this review. This is just my honest opinion, but I'll be honest, this is a great cage. I'm so happy with it. And I can't say that about every cage I've ever done, but this one was really well thought out, really well done. So if you're thinking about a cage for your R5, if you're doing any video, I strongly recommend it. I would strongly recommend this one. But anyway, let me know what you think. Leave me some comments down below. Go out there, keep on shooting, and I'll talk to you soon.